All right, so are you ready for this? We're going deep on this one. Diving into one of the most talked about, honestly, most debated pieces of military tech out there,
Oh, yeah.
Israel's Iron Dome.
It's a good one.
From its, kind of underdog beginnings to like where it is today all over the world, we're going to unpack how this thing works.
Yeah.
If it actually even does what it's supposed to, and of course, why it's causing so much controversy, everywhere.
Yeah.
You provided some great excerpts from the Iron Dome Wikipedia article
Yeah.
as our jumping off point here.
Perfect.
So let's get into it.
Well, I think what's so fascinating about Iron Dome is that it's not just a technology story.
Right.
It's a survival story.
Yeah.
Imagine you facing a near constant barrage of rockets just raining down on your cities.
Oh, gosh.
That was the reality in Israel in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
With groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza launching increasingly frequent and increasingly deadly attacks.
It sounds terrifying. And the Wikipedia article really brings that to life when it talks about the 2006 Lebanon war,
Right.
over 4,000 rockets.
Yeah.
It's hard to even grasp what it must have been like for the 250,000 Israelis who had to flee their homes.
Yeah, it was a wake-up call for Israel.
Yeah.
They decided they weren't going to just sit back and wait for the next attack.
Right.
That's when the idea for Iron Dome really started to take shape.
Makes sense.
It wasn't easy, though. Even seasoned defense experts, including some in the U.S., were skeptical.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they thought the technology was too ambitious, too expensive, maybe even impossible.
Wow.
But the Israelis, they were determined
Yeah.
to prove them wrong.
It's like a real-life David and Goliath story.
It is.
This plucky underdog taking on a seemingly impossible challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
So how does this dome actually work?
Right.
I mean, it's often portrayed as this giant shield over Israel,
Yeah.
but it's much more intricate than that, right?
It's not a physical dome at all.
Mm.
It's this complex system with three key components.
Okay.
First, you got the radar system,
Yeah,
acting as the watchful eyes, scanning the skies for incoming threats.
got it.
Then there's the Battle Management and Control, or BMC,
BMC.
which is essentially the brains of the operation.
Okay.
It takes the data from the radar and uses these incredibly sophisticated algorithms to predict the trajectory of each incoming rocket.
Okay. So it's not just launching missiles at everything that moves.
No, not at all.
Uh,
This is where the BMC's real genius comes in.
okay.
It can distinguish between rockets that are going to land harmlessly in open areas
Right.
and those that pose a direct threat to populated areas.
Got it.
Only then does it engage.
That's all about precision,
Yes,
minimizing collateral damage.
exactly. And this selective targeting
Yeah.
becomes a key point of contention later on in the Iron Dome story.
Interesting.
But for now, let's introduce the muscle of the system,
Okay.
the missile firing unit.
Okay.
This is the part that actually launches the Tamir interceptors to take out those incoming threats.
To do the job.
What's really cool is that each launcher operates independently
Mm-hmm.
and wirelessly connects to the system.
So it's like a network of defenders all working together.
It is. It's like a network of defenders
Yeah.
in perfect synchronization.
So it's a distributed network,
Yes,
not one giant clunky system.
exactly.
That makes a lot of sense from a tactical standpoint.
Yeah,
But all this cutting edge technology can't be cheap.
right.
Who's footing the bill for this thing?
Well, initially, Israel was on its own.
Really?
Yeah, they poured a lot of their own resources into developing Iron Dome,
Wow.
which shows just how crucial they felt it was to their national security.
Yeah.
But later on, they got some serious help from an unlikely partner, the United States.
Oh, interesting.
By 2021, the U.S. had contributed over $1.6 billion to the program,
Wow.
and they approved another billion in 2022.
That's a hefty price tag. What was the U.S. getting out of this massive investment?
Well, part of the agreement was that the U.S. would gain access to some of the Iron Dome technology,
Okay.
and this sparked some heated debates.
Oh, I bet.
Was it a smart move for the U.S.?
Right.
Or were they essentially bankrolling another country's defense system while facing their own challenges back home?
Yeah,
It's a complex question
for sure.
with no easy answers.
It definitely raises questions about priorities and how these defense budgets are allocated.
Right.
But the Iron Dome story doesn't stop on land.
No, it doesn't.
They've even taken this technology to the sea with
There-
Sea Dome,
Uh-huh.
the naval version designed to protect offshore assets like those crucial gas platforms.
Exactly.
Go.
Those platforms aren't just valuable economically.
Right.
They're potential targets for anyone looking to cripple Israel's energy production.
Oh, yeah.
Protecting them is vital.
Yeah.
But it presents a unique challenge. Imagine trying to create a 360-degree dome
Right.
on a constantly moving ship.
Yeah.
A whole different ballgame compared to the land-based system.
And they actually pulled it off.
They did.
In April of this year, CDOM scored its first operational victory
Yeah.
by taking down a drone off the coast of Eilat.
That was a big moment for Israel.
Yeah.
It proved that their technology could adapt to new threats and new environments.
Absolutely.
But even with all these advancements
Yeah.
and these successful interceptions, there's still one big question hanging over Iron Dome.
Yeah, the big one, does it really work?
Yeah.
As well as they say it does?
Right.
Israel claims success rates of 85–90% in major conflicts.
Yeah.
That sounds impressive, but is it the whole story?
Well, that's what things get interesting.
Right.
Because while those numbers sound good, on paper, not everyone agrees on how effective Iron Dome really is.
Right.
Back in 2013, a defense analyst named Theodore Postel
Oh, yeah.
made some pretty explosive claims.
This is the guy who analyzed YouTube videos of Iron Dome interceptions and said it was only 5% effective.
That's the one.
Wow.
It caused quite a stir. Postel argued that the video showed many rockets getting through, and he questioned the whole methodology behind Israel's claims.
So it became a case of he said, she said,
Right.
with Israel firing back and saying, hey, smartphone footage isn't exactly scientific data.
Right.
I mean, who do you believe?
It's a valid point. Relying on, random videos for military analysis is pretty unconventional.
Yeah.
But the debate didn't end there.
Okay.
Later studies, like one from 2018, painted a more nuanced picture.
Okay.
They suggested that Iron Dome's effectiveness might vary,
Interesting.
depending on the specific conflict and the types of rockets being used.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all answer.
No.
But even if we take the higher success rates at face value,
Right.
there's another major issue that keeps popping up.
Yeah.
The cost.
Yes, the $1 million question, or should I say the $100,000 question?
Because that's how much each Tamir interceptor costs to launch, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000, according to the Wikipedia article.
Right.
And meanwhile, a basic Qassam rocket,
Yeah.
the kind Hamas often uses, can be cobbled together for as little as $800.
Yeah. It's a huge difference.
It seems like an incredibly lopsided equation.
It does. And that cost disparity leads to a big concern.
What's that?
Can Iron Dome be overwhelmed financially?
Okay.
What happens if an adversary simply floods the system with cheap rockets,
Right.
forcing Israel to spend astronomical sums on defense?
It's like trying to swat a swarm of flies with a jewel-encrusted fly swatter.
Right.
Expensive, but stylish.
Yeah.
But seriously, it raises the question of whether there are more cost-effective ways to deal with these threats.
Yeah.
The Wikipedia article mentions a laser system called Nautilus
Right.
that was abandoned due to cost and feasibility issues.
Right.
I wonder whatever happened to that.
That's an interesting story for another deep dive, perhaps.
Yeah.
But for now, let's get back to Iron Dome.
Okay.
Because despite the cost debate, its developers, the company Rafael,
Uh-huh.
argue that you can't put a price tag on saving lives.
Right. They say that Iron Dome isn't just randomly blowing up rockets.
Yeah.
It's designed to target only those that pose a real threat to populated areas.
Right.
And they claim this selective engagement saves lives and protects critical infrastructure.
Yeah, their argument is that the value of preventing a single rocket attack on a school or a hospital
Right.
outweighs the cost of even a dozen interceptors.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to quantify,
For sure.
but it gets at the heart of the dilemma.
Yeah.
How do you measure the true cost of defense?
It's a complex equation that goes beyond just dollars and cents.
For sure.
But even as we're discussing this, the role of Iron Dome seems to be evolving.
It is.
It's no longer just about stopping those crude rockets.
Right.
It's being touted as a potential answer to another growing threat, drones.
Absolutely. Unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs as they're known in military circles, are becoming increasingly sophisticated and accessible,
Yeah.
posing a challenge for even the most advanced defenses.
And those Patriot missiles that are often used to take out drones cost millions of dollars each.
Right.
Using Iron Dome instead would still be expensive,
Yeah,
but it could be a game changer in terms of cost effectiveness.
for sure.
And it doesn't stop there.
No.
The article even mentions tests where Iron Dome was used against artillery shells and precision-guided munitions.
Yeah, it seems like they're constantly pushing the boundaries of what this system can do.
So it's evolving from a specialized rocket defense system
Uh-huh.
to a more versatile shield against a wider range of threats.
Exactly.
And this expanded role might explain why we're seeing Iron Dome popping up in some surprising places around the world.
That's right. It's gone global. The first confirmed foreign sale was to Azerbaijan in 2016.
Interesting.
Now, if you look at the geopolitical map, Azerbaijan has some tense relationships with its neighbors.
Right.
So acquiring a system like Iron Dome makes a lot of sense strategically.
Yeah.
And then there's the U.S. Army.
Uh-huh.
They bought 2 Iron Dome batteries back in 2019.
That purchase was a pretty big deal.
It was.
It signals that even the U.S., with its vast military arsenal, sees value in Iron Dome's capabilities.
Yeah. Particularly for protecting its forces deployed abroad.
And then you have this whole mysterious situation with Singapore.
Right.
They've been rumored to be major funders of Iron Dome's development,
Yeah.
but it's never been officially confirmed.
Right. It's like a secret handshake in the world of international arms deals.
It certainly adds a layer of intrigue to the whole story,
Yeah.
and it speaks to the broader implications of technology like Iron Dome.
Right.
It's not just about protecting one country anymore.
Oh.
It's becoming a factor in regional power dynamics and global defense strategies.
For sure.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
We've seen how Iron Dome went from a risky idea to a reality,
Ah.
how it works on a technical level,
Right.
and how its role is expanding.
Yeah.
But where does this all leave us?
Right.
What's the takeaway?
Well, for me, the Iron Dome story highlights how technology is reshaping the landscape of warfare. It really makes you think, all this advanced technology
Yeah,
aimed at protecting people,
right.
but also, raising questions about the future of warfare.
It's definitely a lot to process, and I think it leads us to a question that's both like hypothetical and deeply relevant
Yeah.
to what we've been talking about. So let's put you in the hot seat for a moment.
Okay.
If you were in charge of defending a country,
Yeah.
facing similar threats to Israel,
Uh-huh.
would you invest in a system like Iron Dome,
Okay.
knowing all its complexities and costs?
That's a tough one.
Yeah,
It's easy to say yes or no from the outside,
right.
but the reality is far more nuanced. You'd have to consider so many factors.
Like what?
What are the specific threats you're facing? What resources do you have available? Are there any other alternative solutions?
Right.
And then there's the ethical dimension to consider as well.
What do you mean by the ethical dimension?
Well, is relying on a purely technological solution like Iron Dome sending the right message?
Okay.
Does it deter aggression or does it just escalate the arms race?
Yeah.
And how do you balance the cost of a system like this against other pressing needs like education, healthcare, infrastructure?
Right.
These are tough questions with no easy answers.
It's like we've gone from unpacking the mechanics of Iron Dome
Right?
to wrestling with some really profound questions about security and defense and the role of technology in our world.
Yeah, and that's exactly what makes a deep dive like this so valuable.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning facts and figures.
Right.
It's about engaging with complex issues
Yeah.
and challenging our own assumptions.
So to our listener out there,
Yeah.
I hope this has sparked your curiosity about the Iron Dome and all its complexities.
It is a fascinating story.
Yeah.
That's still being written.
For sure.
It touches on so many crucial issues of our time.
Absolutely. And, don't just take our word for it.
Right.
Keep researching.
Keep asking questions
Yeah.
and keep forming your own opinions.
Yes.
Because ultimately, the future of technology and how it's used is something we all have a stake in.
Couldn't have said it better myself.